Okay. So here we have the story of Peter and the wolf, retold and illustrated by Michele Lemieux. Once upon a time, there was a boy named Peter. He lived with his grandfather in a house surrounded by a high wall. Outside the wall lay a meadow with a pond and a tall tree. Beyond the meadow was a deep, dark forest. Early one morning, Peter opened the gate and went out into the great big meadow. On a branch of the tall tree sat Peter's friend, a little bird. He chirped happily, "All is quiet, all is quiet." All was quiet. Not even a breeze rippled the water on the pond. Soon, a duck waddled by. Glad to see that Peter hadn't shut the gate, she decided to take a swim in the deep pond. Seeing the duck, the little bird flew down beside her in the grass for a closer look. "What kind of bird are you if you can't fly?" "What kind of bird are you," the duck replied, "if you can't swim?" And she dived into the pond. They argued and argued, the duck swimming around in the pond, the little bird hopping along the bank. Suddenly, something caught Peter's attention. It was a cat creeping through the high grass. While the bird and the duck are busy arguing, I'll just grab the bird. There's the cat hiding in the back. "Look out!" cried Peter. The bird flew straight up into the tree while the duck quacked angrily at the cat from the middle of the pond. The cat paced around and around the tall tree, thinking, "Is it worth climbing up so high? By the time I get there, the bird will have flown away." Just then, Peter's grandfather came out of the gate. He was very angry. "The meadow is a dangerous place," he scolded. "Suppose a wolf came out of the forest. What then?" Peter paid no attention. He wasn't afraid of wolves. Nevertheless, Grandfather took Peter firmly by the hand, led him home, and locked the gate. That's a little better. You can see. No sooner had Peter gone off than a big gray wolf did come out of the forest. In a flash, the cat scrambled up the tree. The duck quacked louder and louder, and in her panic jumped right out of the pond. But no matter how fast she tried to run, she couldn't escape the wolf. He was getting closer and closer, nearer and nearer, catching up to her. And then he got her. And in one gulp, he swallowed her whole. So now, this is how things stood. The cat was sitting on one branch of the tree. The bird was sitting in another, but not too close to the cat. And the wolf, still hungry, was walking round and round the tree, looking up at them both with greedy eyes. Peter stood behind the gate watching all that was going on. Without the slightest fear, he ran to the house, found a strong rope, and climbed with it to the top of the high wall. One of the branches of the tree stretched out over the wall. Grabbing hold of this branch, Peter easily pulled himself into the tree. "Listen," he whispered to the bird. "Fly down and circle the wolf's head, but be careful he doesn't catch you." The little bird flew so close that he almost brushed the wolf's nose with his wings. The wolf snapped angrily at the bird from this side and that. Oh, but how the bird teased the wolf, and how the wolf tried to catch him, but the bird was far too clever. Meanwhile, Peter tied one end of the rope tightly around the branch. He then made a lasso out of the other end and, lowering it carefully, caught the wolf by the tail and pulled with all his might. Feeling himself caught, the wolf began to jump wildly about, trying to free himself. But his jumping only pulled the rope tighter and tighter around his tail. Just then, 3 hunters came out of the woods. They were following the wolf's trail. From up high in the tree, Peter said, "Don't catch him. The bird and I have already caught the wolf. You can help us take him to the zoo." So they all set off in a triumphant procession. First came Peter. Then behind him came the hunters, leading the wolf. Last came the cat and grandfather. Grandfather shook his head and grumbled, "Oh, well and good, but what if Peter hadn't caught the wolf? What then?" Above them all flew the little bird, chirping merrily. "Look how brave we are, Peter and I. Look what we've caught." And if you listen very carefully, you will hear the duck quacking, very softly, of course, inside the wolf, for the wolf in his haste had swallowed the duck whole. The end.